When did you hit the 40 lakh mark in your career?
About 10, 12 years ago.
2019, 5 years ago.
2021.
I did around 5 years ago.
Has your degree, and I specifically mean your MBA, has it in any way impacted your career, either in terms of salary or in terms of network or in terms of just learning?
The first thing it gave me was a good solid understanding of what marketing is, right? Point of view, great professors, great book story and things like that. And then once I graduated, it's a great signal to say that you graduated from IIM Bangalore. So that kind of gives a good signaling value when someone looks at your resume. And I think people who went there, they leave the place with perspective, which you can't put on a resume.
If you were hiring for someone and there was an IIM versus someone who had the skills but not IIM, would this stamp make a difference in your opinion?
Look, it might make a difference in the initial phase. When
Like you'll filter out, yeah.
Right. So there's always that. But no, eventually you have to look at the skill and what is the feeling that the person gives you when you sit across the table and talk to them? That do they give you the confidence? Have they done this before?
It's a good filter.
It's good to have to filter through, because I think you've seen the data, right? Nowadays there are like 1,000 applications per job. Who's going to filter through? So they want to look through for some signals. So from a signaling point of view, it's good.
I agree with Srini in terms of, IIM filter actually gets you ahead in the queue when you are starting out,
Okay.
not when you are after a decade of experience.
For instance, if someone doesn't have like 8-10 years of experience, I don't think it'll matter which college, which school, which course, what they picked up as a technical skill. What will matter is what they've done in the last 3 years, not even like last 10 years.
Or whatever is relevant to the role.
Yeah.
For example,
Fair.
if I'm hiring for consumer tech, then I'd say your experience in home train is relevant.
Yeah, fair.
But if I'm hiring for a B2B position, your other experience is not relevant. Similarly, if I apply, I've been a B2B guy. So if I apply to a B2C company, they're like great experience, but not relevant.
Not relevant.
Because the rhythm is very different.
How do you feel marketers today approach their salaries? In my time, marketers didn't approach their salaries. Like, they didn't approach. They were like, okay, this is the budget. Are you okay? And they'll be like, acha, theek hai, okay. If you knew you were coming to an end of a job, that was the end of the line for you, or something's happening, you would say, okay, theek hai, I'm go for that budget.
When I went out consulting for the first time, what happened was, the idea of finding the right GTM for your product, the idea of finding the right market for your product, all those principles that we'd applied to, when we were selling a B2B product, I applied it to myself. I was like, okay, this is who I am. I have these 3 major wins in my career. Now, can I replicate these 3 major wins at a client? Okay, so who is that client where these 3 major wins will directly apply? And then you go there, and then, it's basically, I sold solution instead of selling myself. So then when you approach the entire thing as a sales process, then you follow up and you prospect right, and when you don't go via the job boards, I think that lets you command a premium. How about?
Yeah, but I think the other skill that people need to know, marketers or anyone in general, is finding a niche, finding a profitable niche for yourself. I'll take the example of my case. So when I left HP and moved into startups, I've been in startups ever since. So that's a niche that I've caught on to.
Okay.
So I started at a time when it was not fashionable to work for startups. So Flipkart was still an apartment. But so I became a marketing head for startups. Now that is a niche.
Market follows bears and bull cycle. Right? You have a bull cycle, you can get hired faster. You have a bear cycle, you get hired slower. Both of these markets, if you want to command a premium, you need to stand out. You need to be the outlier. Now, outlier can mean in terms of pedigree, in terms of the work you've done, in terms of everything. I've known people who are not on Twitter, who are not on LinkedIn, who are not on anything. They command huge premiums because they work with folks, like Srini said, who require that particular skill, and that particular skill is valuable.
Walk us through your career journey. Role, salary, company.
Okay, 2007, Infosys 2.8. 2011, exited Infosys 3.5. 2012, MBA was done. Starting salary was 8.5. 2015, joined Simplilearn. Starting salary was 16. By 2019, I had 40. Associate director.
2016, I was interning with Your Story, making 15,000 rupees a month. 2017, started out with a few good folks. For a bit, it was zero, then started paying myself 26,000 rupees a month. 2018, 2019, I also, sort of left these guys, ventured out on my own, did consulting. Before year, got back to these guys. Collectively, that year, I ended at around 40 lakhs. 2020, we raised venture funding, made about 18 lakhs because founders, the biggest part of the incentive is equity. So 2020, 18 lakhs, that means 1.5 lakhs a month. 2021, 1.5 lakhs a month. 2022, 1.5 lakhs a month. 2023, 1.5 lakhs a month. Started consulting. I make more than 40 currently.
Fresher higher of college 2.74. I think I got 6,000 less. 2001.
Okay.
So 2001 to 7 was only 6,000 increase.
Only 6,000 increase as well. So I think when I left IBM in 2007, probably reached around 8 or 9. Then I joined HP, which came a little bit of a jump, 13, 14. But that's when I switched to startups. So when I switched to startups, 2009, I joined Tejas Networks. And since then, I've been about 7 startups in the last 15 odd years.
Okay.
So that's how I was able to hit 40 somewhere around between 2012 and 2014. And since then, of course, every jump, a decent size income. So, yeah.
I started my career in 2017. I started as a copywriter. I used to earn 25,000 rupees a month. In 2019, I moved to the same company as a client servicing person, and I used to make 35 per month. Then I quit. I started up on my own. In the 2 years that I started up, the startup gave me no money basically. I made zero via the startup, but I used to consult with this Canadian company, did like multiple marketing pieces for them, made like $4,000 a month. So that's when I hit my 40 lakhs. Post which I moved to a job, educational play toys company called Play Shifu. And I used to make say about 18 lakhs there. And then I moved to Homelane. I currently make between 20 to 25.
How many people in your team are getting paid 40 lakhs and above right now, or in the last few gigs? And what would you pay someone 40 lakhs for? What would that JD or career trajectory look like?
Like in my current company, none of them. But it's also a function of what the company can afford.
Agree.
Yeah,
So
of
there
course.
are lots of caveats.
Variables. Yeah.
So that one thing
So
is,
even
let's say 10%. Your
Pick
top
the
10%,
biggest of the biggest companies that you work with.
top 10% would earn that 40 to 50.
Always, irrespective of the
So
size.
it's
Not
still
always.
quite an unconventional number.
Yeah.
Even at a unicorn.
Even at all. So who would I pay 40 lakhs to is someone who's tenured for at least, let's say, 10 to 15 years, who's a specialist at what they do, or somebody who can be a strong number two to the CMO, who can manage a bunch of things for the CMO. So these are the two types of people who I would pay. 40 lakhs plus is what I pay.
If I'm heading marketing, I would need someone to basically look at the day-to-day affairs and to basically manage the team and to look at, if there is friction in the team, to resolve that friction, to basically get to things, execute faster. Because as a CMO, I'm already looking at programs, I'm already looking at the strategy, I'm already looking at the plan for the 6 months, 8 months, whatever, 9 months. And I don't have enough bandwidth to make sure the execution is happening in the right place.
Got it.
Right? So that's somebody I would hire for. 5 to 10%. That numbers remains the same. That number won't change ever.
Okay.
I hired 2 consultants recently that are going to be paid way more than 40 lakhs than it.
Way more than 40 lakhs.
Yeah.
But a consultant.
The consultant, yeah.
I've never hired anyone for 40 lakhs. The only person who got paid above 40 at Avalon was not a hire from me. The only person on the entire team was paid. He was an engineer. An urgent hire who was an engineer got paid 60 lakhs.
Has your personal life in any way affected the career decisions in any way?
During COVID, my mom and dad I couldn't obviously, during wave 1, I couldn't come through. But as soon as, wave 1, between wave 1 and wave 2, we shifted back to Bangalore. I was in Mumbai that time, we shifted back to Bangalore. Most of my decisions have been impacted by my family. Because you go back home at 10 p.m., 12, 1, 2, right? And you basically are home. You want to go to a home where you have created a safe space for yourself and your family. You don't want to go to a place where you're just basically you're anyway trying to survive in the bloody startup. Okay. You don't want to go survive in your home. Like you don't want to fight 3-4 battles.
Is it okay in the early days of your career?
I mean, see, early days in the career, both the folks will be struggling, right? So you're both struggling and trying to hustle, right? And if you're able to support yourself, and that's why finding the right person is very critical, right? Finding the person who can vibe with that and who can basically understand that is very critical. So it's not about, whether you will take a, hustle job or not a hustler job. It's about whether the person with you, your companion, can basically understand what you've taken up and optimize for your family happiness. Like your goal should not be optimized for your net worth. Your goal should be to be able to optimize for your family happiness. If you're able to do that, in my opinion, your net worth you will make decisions which increase your net worth.
So in my case, I think, like I said, I got married around the time I was working for my first startup. So I think my wife has been she's seen me through this journey. I think she's been very supportive. And what happens is when you go through a rough time, a tumultuous time, which you're bound to go through, and your partner will also experience that along with you. And that's the unfortunate part because they don't have to, but they invariably will. But she's been very understanding, and I think that's important if you want to continue working in this space, right? So you need to have an understanding family, and I think I've had that. There are times when things have gotten really tough, and at least I've drawn a line to say that I'm not going to bring some of these conversations forward.
Okay.
And I'm going to deal with them, or I'll talk to my coach, or I'll talk to somebody else, a therapist or whatever, but I won't bring it.
Yeah.
Right? So that's important to draw a line, because it's very hard to sort of become two people, like you are the same person. So it does take.
Okay. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next episode.